Joyce McLean was a 16-year-old high school student from East Millinocket, Maine, who was murdered in 1980. She had gone for a jog on the evening of August 8th, and her body was discovered 2 days later behind Schenck High School. She had been bludgeoned to death with a blunt object, later identified as a ceramic utility pole insulator. There was no physical evidence, such as DNA or fingerprints, linking anyone to the crime scene. The case remained unsolved for decades, but in 2008, it was reopened. Investigators conducted new forensic tests and re-interviewed witnesses. In 2016, Philip Scott Fournier, who was 19 at the time of the murder, was arrested and charged with her killing. Fournier had previously confessed to the crime in 1981 to a pastor and his mother, and he had made similar statements to others over the years. In 2018, after a bench trial, Fournier was convicted of murder and sentenced to 45 years in prison. The judge considered his confessions and statements to be credible, despite the lack of physical evidence. Joyce McLean's murder is one of Maine's longest unsolved homicide cases, and her family and community have expressed relief and a sense of justice following Fournier's conviction. Morgan Dana Harrington was a 20-year-old Virginia Tech student who tragically disappeared on October 17, 2009, after attending a Metallica concert at the University of Virginia's John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville. She was last seen leaving the arena to find a restroom, as the venue had a strict no re-entry policy. Her purse, containing her ID and phone with the batteries removed, was found in a nearby RV lot. Witnesses reported seeing her hitchhiking on the Copley Road Bridge around 9:30 p.m. After an extensive search, Morgan's remains were discovered on January 26, 2010, on a remote farm approximately 10 miles from the arena. The cause of death was determined to be homicide, and her parents confirmed that she had been sexually assaulted and suffered broken bones. A forensic link was later established between Morgan's case and an earlier abduction and sexual assault in Fairfax, Virginia, in 2005. In September 2014, Jesse Matthew Jr., who had been driving a taxi in Charlottesville the night Morgan went missing, was identified as a suspect through forensic evidence. Matthew was also linked to the 2014 disappearance and murder of UVA student Hannah Graham. On March 2, 2016, he pleaded guilty to both murders and was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. In honor of Morgan's memory, the University of Virginia installed a memorial plaque on the Copley Road Bridge, the site where she was last seen. Additionally, the Help Save the Next Girl campaign was launched to raise awareness about the vulnerability of young women to predators and to support other victims' families. Funds raised support the Morgan Dana Harrington Memorial Scholarship Fund at the Virginia Tech Carilion School of Medicine. Ariel Jeffrey Kouakou, a 10-year-old boy from Montreal, has been missing since March 12, 2018. He was last seen leaving his home in the Ahuntsic-Cartierville neighborhood to visit a friend. Despite extensive search efforts, including police divers scouring the Rivière des Prairies, no trace of Ariel has been found. Montreal police have suggested that Ariel may have accidentally drowned in the river, citing witness reports and surveillance footage placing him near the water. However, Ariel's family disputes this theory, believing instead that he was abducted. They have maintained hope that he is still alive and have publicly forgiven the alleged abductor, appealing for his safe return. In March 2024, on the 6th anniversary of his disappearance, the Missing Children's Network released a digitally aged image of what Ariel might look like today, aiming to renew public awareness and encourage new information. The image was created by experts from the Charité du Québec. Ariel's family remains steadfast in their belief that he is still alive and continues to advocate for renewed efforts to locate him. They have called for the establishment of a specialized police unit dedicated to investigating missing children cases, emphasizing the need for a more focused approach to such disappearances. Bianca Michelle Devins was a 17-year-old from Utica, New York, who was tragically murdered on July 14, 2019. She had attended a concert in New York City with Brandon Andrew Clark, a 21-year-old acquaintance she had met through Instagram. After the concert, the two returned to Utica, where Clark fatally stabbed Bianca in a jealous rage after witnessing her kiss another man. He then posted graphic photos of her body on social media platforms, including Discord and Instagram. Clark was arrested and later pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison in February 2020. In the aftermath of Bianca's death, her mother, Kim Devins, campaigned for legislative change to prevent the distribution of graphic crime scene images online. Her efforts led to the enactment of Bianca's Law in New York State in 2022, making it illegal to upload or share such images without consent. Bianca's story has highlighted the dangers of online harassment and the importance of protecting individuals from digital exploitation. Christina Marie Williams was a 13-year-old girl from Seaside, California, who was abducted and murdered in 1998. On June 12, 1998, she was last seen walking her dog near her home on the former Fort Ord military base. Her dog returned home alone shortly afterward, and Christina was never seen again. Despite extensive search efforts and national media attention, including public service announcements by celebrities like Clint Eastwood and Mariah Carey, her case remained unsolved for nearly 2 decades. In 2016, DNA evidence found on Christina's clothing was matched to Charles Allen Holyfield, a convicted sex offender serving a life sentence for other crimes. Holyfield had previously been considered a suspect but lacked sufficient evidence for prosecution. In 2017, he was officially charged with her kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder. Holyfield waived his right to a jury trial and pleaded guilty in 2020. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Christina's case was later linked to that of Jennifer Morris, a 20-year-old woman who disappeared in 1983. Investigators believe Holyfield may have been responsible for both murders, though he has not been charged in Morris's death. In honor of Christina, a memorial was established in Marina, California, and a scholarship was created at the University of California, Berkeley. Her story continues to raise awareness about child safety and the importance of justice for victims. Ollie Stevens, a 13-year-old from Emer Green, Reading, Berkshire, was tragically murdered on January 3, 2021. He was lured to a field by a 14-year-old girl, where he was ambushed and fatally stabbed by 2 teenage boys, aged 13 and 14 at the time. The attack was premeditated and stemmed from a dispute over social media, where Ollie had forwarded a video of one of the boys mocking another child, leading to accusations of snitching against him. Following a trial in July 2021, the 2 boys were convicted of murder. The older boy received a minimum sentence of 12 years, while the younger boy received a minimum of 13 years. The girl, who had admitted to manslaughter and perverting the course of justice, was initially sentenced to 3 years and 2 months. However, this sentence was increased to 5 years following an appeal, as the original term was deemed unduly lenient. The murder highlighted the dangers of online interactions among young people and the potential for social media disputes to escalate into real-world violence. In the aftermath, Ollie's parents, Amanda and Stuart Stevens, have been actively campaigning against knife crime and the glorification of violence, aiming to ensure their son's memory is remembered and to prevent similar tragedies. Anthony Walker, an 18-year-old black student from Huyton, Merseyside, was murdered in a racially motivated attack on July 30, 2005. While waiting at a bus stop with his white girlfriend and cousin, Walker was subjected to racist abuse by Michael Barton and his cousin Paul Taylor. The 2 men later ambushed Walker in McGoldrick Park, where Taylor fatally struck him in the head with an ice axe. Barton, who had supplied the weapon, was convicted of murder. Taylor had pleaded guilty to manslaughter before the trial. The murder drew national outrage and led to significant efforts to combat racism and hate crime in the UK. Anthony's mother, G. Walker, established the Anthony Walker Foundation to promote racial equality and support young people. The case also spurred the creation of a dedicated police unit to tackle hate crimes in Merseyside. In 2022, Michael Barton was recommended for release by the parole board after serving 17 years of his life sentence. The panel noted his remarkable transformation and maturity during incarceration. G. Walker expressed that the decision dishonored her son's memory, emphasizing the lasting impact of his loss. Anthony's story has been commemorated through various tributes, including a BBC drama titled Anthony, which imagines his life had he not been killed. The drama portrays his aspirations and the potential he had to contribute to the world. Angela Williams was last known to be living with her boyfriend at a beachfront apartment complex on Highway 90 in Pass Christian, Mississippi. On July 10, 1995, she left her job at the Copa Casino around 8 a.m. and called a friend 2 hours later at 10 a.m. Her father and stepmother, who lived out of state, reported her missing in September. According to her boyfriend, Angela had left with a wealthy friend from Florida. While investigators confirmed she did know someone fitting that description, it remains unclear if she ever made it to Florida. Angela left behind her yellow 1984 Oldsmobile Fiero, her final paycheck, and other personal belongings. She had maintained regular contact with her best friend through phone calls and letters, but no one heard from her after July 1995. Her case remains largely unsolved with few details available. Kamisha Williams was last seen around 11 a.m. on August 9, 2009, riding her bicycle away from a female friend's trailer in Byhalia, Mississippi. She has not been seen or heard from since. Approximately 12 hours later, her cell phone was used to call a male acquaintance in the Memphis, Tennessee area. The call originated near the Mississippi and Tennessee state line, close to Kamisha's home. No further activity has been reported, and she has remained missing ever since. At the time of her disappearance, Kamisha was living with her grandmother and her 2 children. Similar to our previous case, there is very little information known, and this also remains unsolved. Crystal Journey was last seen on December 22, 2021, in the 1600 block of Mandeville Street in New Orleans, Louisiana. She told her friends she planned to attend a concert that evening at the Center Theater featuring rapper Fredo Bang, and that her ex-boyfriend, Roosevelt Marshall, would be going with her. Crystal was seen getting into Marshall's black Toyota Avalon, which had a Louisiana license plate. It is unknown whether she ever made it to the concert. She has not been seen or heard from since. Roosevelt Marshall is considered a person of interest. He and Crystal had been in an on and off relationship for several years, but were no longer together at the time of her disappearance. Their relationship had a documented history of domestic violence. In August 2020, Marshall was charged with unauthorized use of movables and aggravated assault after allegedly driving away in a rental car with Crystal hanging onto the steering wheel. In December of the same year, he was charged with domestic battery for reportedly punching her multiple times, severely injuring her and tearing out an earring. Crystal told police at the time that Marshall had a long-standing pattern of daily verbal and physical abuse, and had threatened to kill her. After Crystal went missing, Marshall disappeared as well. Her family hired a private investigator, who located him 4 months later in Cobb County, Georgia. In August 2022, he was arrested on the 2020 charges and extradited to New Orleans. However, those charges were later dropped. Despite being questioned by Georgia authorities, he has never been interviewed by New Orleans police or formally charged in connection with Crystal's disappearance. Crystal's family believes she met with foul play, noting it would be out of character for her to leave without contacting anyone or to abandon her 3 children. Her case remains unsolved.